the last resort court, says that anything before the year 2000 is not admissible in court, then what is the point of the International Court of Justice when everything that we're experiencing predates that? It means that I cannot bring evidence. That means that I am more or less, it's like a joke, it's a slap in your face. You're saying that I am here to give you justice, but my hands are tied because I can't allow you to bring certain information in, which ultimately protects the perpetrator. Come on. So who are we really protecting? International Court of Justice, UN, Privy Council, Supreme Court. So then when we are bringing down these leaders who are instigating wars in that way, we also have to hold the International Court of Justice accountable and charge them for allowing a law like that and a rule like that within their constitution, which is literally an obstruction of justice and a conflict of interest, which makes us reassess if this was really created for the benefit of the people or to protect the perpetrators. Because at some point, reparations are forget. And if they knew that, and if they know that at some point it is going to reach to that state, because they will prolong until it has to change. Come on. And as a buffer and a stopgap and a shield to protect them, they put that law inside of there. So before we even go into assessing how we're going to get Netanyahu and these fellas to take the charge, we have to charge the International Court of Justice. Because if you cannot see that rule and that law inside of there as an obstruction of justice, then you are not there to serve us and you are fooling the people, and this is a fraudulent organization. So I want to charge the International Court of Justice for lying to the people. And the United Nations and all these people who sending out every 2 minutes you see in a post, but we are calling for cessation. Come on, man, you're bullshitting the people. Because our last resort court of justice for the entire world, regardless of if you are a member or not a member, you are dealing with human rights and you are the last court of justice, and your main rule says that anything before the year 2000 cannot work in court. That's an obstruction of justice. It means that nothing could really be solved. And all the issues that these countries in the Caribbean, and my country particular, Trinidad and Tobago, which is a transshipment point for drugs and guns, where the port is located, where we are located in the South American region. And I've been researching all of the transshipment points. When we look at what's going on with Haiti, Haiti is a location that things passing in and out for France and Belgium and these places. Mexico, Colombia, all these places. And all these places are closely connected to the underworld, governed by America and the Europeans and certain European nations. And don't try to mix up Russia in that. Because Russia has been standing in solidarity with Africa ever since, and all our black heroes have said that Russia is one of the European nations that has been standing in solidarity with Africa's struggle, because they are also dealing with that fear of being colonized by the West. You could like me, you could don't like me, I'm dealing with facts. You could dig up the grave of every Pan-African leader. You could go and find all their books, and each of them will have something to say about the Soviet and Russia and maintaining that bond, because they stand in solidarity with the struggle. That's why I have a different opinion about the war. I am not for war, but my thing is, if you and your people are being attacked, that space in Crimea there, that location, America is using Ukraine as America is using Israel to annex and take over the land and the space of other nations. And that's what they're trying to do with Russia. Remember, Russia is one of the main oil producers as well. These people have the resources and minerals in the same way that they were back in early history. And all I have to say is they were doing that before 2000, because I'm sticking to this thing with the International Court of Justice, where anything before the year 2000 is not admissible in court. And I am charging the International Court of Justice for being incompetent, for lying to the people, to being fraudulent and obstructing justice. So if anything is supposed to fix, because each nation and all the individuals within the nations and the countries could decide today or tomorrow, I done with the guns and the drugs and we resting it down. Let me shift the product from that crack and cocaine that mashing up people's head, and let me focus on ganja. We could trade that. Let's legalize that. Let's put things in place so that across the society there's not a 1% getting and a this percent not getting. Everything is even. Everybody has an opportunity, or an equal opportunity to earn and do business. Everything is licensed. Everything is legitimate. We don't have to worry about any black market or underworld, because it is not hidden. This is business. Everybody's registered, and we all decide that that's how we're going to deal with the guns and the drugs. other things within our human relations that we need to fix with relationships and everything like that within the community and the home, all of that will start to solve as well, because one of the main issues that a lot of people express abuse, domestic violence, is because there's lack of resources to be able to take care of each other. A hungry man is an angry man. Now, if we focus on the thing that is causing our families to be split and separated, where the fathers are in jail, the mothers are in jail, the children are left to the elements because of the guns and the drugs. And then you have this human trafficking thing, and then you have this sex trade thing that we've seen blowing up here, being uncovered, that is being hidden within the entertainment industry, which is one of the most lucrative industries. Everything is being exposed because this is the time of revelation. I consider this whole era we are in as Revelation 22. The unveiling, unmasking, unearthing, and revelation of everything that we've tried to avoid and ignore and not take accountability for. Everything seems like everything is exploding, wars everywhere, because things fall apart before they get better. And I want us as a human race to understand that. I want us as a global village to be patient with this process. I'm not patient with this war that has to end, and the people who are in organizations who are supposed to stand up for human rights is actually the organization that is blocking justice. And so I want to charge the International Court of Justice for obstructing justice. And when we get that out of the way, then we'll be able to take Netanyahu and these people down. And we'll be able to get all these people out of Africa who are exploiting Africa. And I want to hold the ECOWAS and these African nations responsible. You are trying to prevent a shift of power between Niger and Nigeria, acting like you don't understand what is going on there with the colonizers' influence inside of there, with the French inside of there. Come on, man, are you all coons and puppets? And these African bodies need to stop allowing these people to intimidate us, because when you stand up for yourself, they're going to put sanctions and put sanctions and put sanctions. And again, where is the International Court, who is supposed to be for humanity, whether you're white or you're black? And if a nation decides to stand up for its rights and its people, and the other people doing business with them decides that they're going to put a sanction or block because they are not allowing them to exploit anyway, and you are not doing something about it, and somebody has to stand up and say something about it, you are incompetent. Because you're supposed to have your field workers out there monitoring international relations. And if it's so overwhelming that we require a report, and you don't take that report seriously, you are incompetent and you're obstructing justice, and you don't have the people's interests at hand. You are supposed to be removed. That entire organization is incompetent and is not in the best interest of the people. It is there to protect the colonizers, who are the financiers. Don't think we don't know. So in Trinidad and Tobago, the citizens and the nations could decide that we're not dealing with the crime and the drugs and whatever. The perpetrators are going to find some other way to engineer to try to infiltrate in other ways. So if we have to really deal with national issues, individual nations dealing with their crime issues, we have to deal with where it started, from Reagan, the 13th Amendment, with how they dealt with the slaves coming out of America, with how they dealt with the slaves in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean, when they tried to oppress the way we revolted. Carnival is so important, and I come right back to studying Carnival set me in this mindset, or at least reinforce and strengthen the things that I was made to be aware of when I was growing up from my parents and my elders. Being conscious about Africa and knowing yourself and standing in solidarity with the plight for us to be able to get reparations for what we have been through. But studying Carnival, the spiritual aspect of Carnival, the economic aspect of Carnival, the business of Carnival, the social implications of Carnival, and the reason behind Carnival, even Christmas and the Paranderos, they have their history and their way of revolting. That's why they try to stop it. That's why the Barakia dwellers and the stick fighters, who are our heroes, but who were considered less than, like Jamets. And now they want to pull out bulletin boards to block people from coming to Trinidad and Tobago, because Carnival is a time that I consider like the River Nile, an ecosystem that everybody in the country at some point could make some money somewhere. Even if you just stand up to sell 50 water, you're getting that water sell. It have people who, when they do what they do for Carnival, they could live for the next 6-7 months. In the past, they all put things in place to have the society hut on certain areas, where the black community in particular, and the darker skin, and you put the different ethnic groups against each other. And now everything is just a shit show. And now, instead of taking accountability for what you engineered, like in Trinidad, Colombia, Mexico, Haiti, everywhere else now, you coming out to warn your citizens and them not to come to Trinidad, and people afraid to come for Carnival. So a reduction in people coming means there's less business. It means more oppression, less economic activity. A little play with my nation, please. Do not play with my Caribbean, please. And do not play with my global village, please. Call me mad, I don't care. Because what is happening to me is happening to somebody else. And if all of us think about it like that, then we won't treat each other the way we're treating each other. And if it's because of something that triggered us and have us in this traumatic, toxic cycle, then we have to deal with that. But we have to get these people out of the way. And we have been trying our best not to do it by violence, while violence is being implemented on us. Come on, it's like you're hitting man and you ask them to keep my hand behind my back and just take lash. How long are we going to do that? So if we really want to deal with national issues while we are dealing with it within the nation itself, where each individual has the right to say to the gangs, let us use that gang activity and that group activity for positivity instead of destruction. Brother David Muhammad has been saying this. Imam Yasin Abubakar has been given that example. He's left the legacy with his son, who is doing the best that he could. And all other organizations around, whether they use the creative arts, they use this, even churches who are really there for light and love, regardless of how we feel about the genesis of Christianity and how it was used to destroy the identity of the black people, and the colonizers used Christianity to destroy people. But despite that, if you use whatever religion you decide to ascribe to for light and upliftment, then I stand in solidarity with you and I support you, and I would like you to support me, and we work together to deal with this. And for these spaces that are really trying to assist and heal the trauma that we've been experiencing, we could only do so much if we don't deal with the real perpetrators. And the real perpetrators want us to think that it is just at the government level, even though they would be responsible in the ways that they have done through the history of every government or every nation's government historical past. They have used power and control in the same way they use it in the gangs. They put them against each other, they give them power and money, and then fighting for the same position. It's the same thing with the politicians as well. And for the nations who had been able to get a handle on it, is maybe because they didn't really have much resources and it's a little bit of people and nobody really cared. But the nations who really have minerals, have things, those are the ones who are experiencing a lot of economic, judicial, societal issues. Because having your country in a disarray is how you could distract them from the ways you are coming in now to set up your camp in Chagaramas, Tamako, and monitor our operations. So if we really, really want to deal with crime, there are different levels to dealing with crime. But I say, instead of trying to chop the middle of the snake or the tail, you go for the head. You get the head and the body of the snake done. It's dead. And to deal with the head means that we also have to align with other nations. The struggle in America is the struggle in Trinidad and Tobago. The struggle in Jamaica is the struggle in Trinidad and Tobago. The struggle in Haiti is the struggle in America. The struggle in Africa is the struggle in America. Why Castro had to leave Cuba and come quite Africa to do what he had to do. And the discrimination against Muslims and Islam is the same struggle against all other types of religious denominations as well, where they are shifting the people from love and light to corrupt the people, to have them in this slave mentality, ideology of following a certain thing that keeps them limited and oppressed, not knowing that within themselves they are the Christ that is coming, will come, and will always come within them. They are the manifestation of that Christ. They don't want us to know that. So while we're waiting and looking up in the sky, it is within us, like literally it is within us, and it is up to us. And it is time that we stop assassinating the ones who decide to take on that role, not to see them as narcissists, but to stand in solidarity with them and to step up as well. Because the more of us who think that we are that embodiment of God and Christ, and that Christ that is coming is already here within us, the more of us do that. You know, it is for the entire world to have everybody knowing that they are the Jesus Christ that is coming and is here. Come on, man, nobody could oppress us. And that's why they've been trying to hide certain information from us. Because if we know that, then they can't have power over us. But the power is shifting, and things may seem very chaotic and bloody right now, but the power is shifting. And I am in that mindset that we have already conquered it. We're just walking into that reality. And the first step is that we need to hold the International Criminal Court of Justice in contempt of obstruction of justice by allowing that law that anything that predates the year 2000 is not admissible in court, means that we cannot bring up the truth about what caused or causing everything that we're experiencing now, which means we really don't have a case because they have that there and they're claiming to be protecting and promoting the rights. That's why they can't really stop Netanyahu. They can't this because they'll be blocking their own people. So if we're real about these things, while we deal with it in our individual nations, we also have to deal with it simultaneously with the international governing bodies and organizations who are claiming to be here on behalf of the people. All for one and one for all, and in that manner, no failure. Love, 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 love.